Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Joe, and today I thought we'd take a look at the healing tool in Lightroom Classic. So to get us started, I've got Lightroom Classic open here. I've opened up a catalogue of some random images and make some minor changes to them using the healing tools that we've got available to us in Lightroom Classic. Okay, so to begin with, I've selected this one image here. I'm going to use a shortcut now, the letter Q, which will take us into develop and bring us straight to the healing tool. So press letter Q and you can see that we're in develop and we have gone straight to the healing tool. Now that we're in the healing tool, if we have a look at the control box that we've got here, we can see that we've got three icons. And if I run from right to left, so first of all, we have the basic clone tool. Next we have the heal tool, which is very similar to the clone tool, but it puts a bit more effort into trying to give you a more seamless match in your image. And then lastly we have the content aware removal tool, which will take away the area that you've selected and try to replace it with what it thinks that you want. So those are the three tools that we will be looking at. If I just quickly click on each of them as we run through, just to show you. So we're on the clone at the moment. With the clone, we can adjust size, feather, and opacity. If we come across to the heal, you'll notice it's the same. However, if I come across to the content aware, you'll see that we lose the feather option. We wouldn't need that because the tool is going to replace the complete image, so there is nothing there for us. We're not adjusting a previous edit. So those are the three. Let's start off. I'll come back to the clone, and what I want to do is on this image, which I think pretty sure is Hamburg. I'll be honest, I don't remember taking this picture, which makes me think I was probably a bit drunk, and so therefore I was probably in Hamburg, because that's what you do there. But yeah, but we've got this image and I'd like to get rid of this little distraction in the bottom left hand corner. So what I can do, to begin with the clone tool, I'm going to just have a quick look at the size of the brush. The brush needs to be a little bit larger to my mind, so I'm going to increase that. You can see, or hopefully you can see on the screen there, as I increase the size of the brush, you can see it on the graphic just to the left there. If you don't want to use the slider, you can use the square bracket to increase or decrease the size of your brush. Using those same keys, if you hold down the shift key whilst pressing those keys, you can increase or decrease the size of the feather. So if you prefer to use keystrokes, you can use that, or you can use the sliders for both the size and the feather. So let's have a look at that. Brush might be a little bit big, but let's give that a go. So yeah, so basic clone tool. I'm just gonna run that tool across this area and let go the mouse. And you can see it's gone. And actually that's first pass, that's done a pretty good job, but you can't really see how that works. So if I now press another shortcut, the letter H, you'll now see how that is done. So there are now two elements to this edit. The one that's got the little icon here of the stamp, that was the original area that we selected to change. And then joint to that is an area of equal shape, which is giving you the suggested area to replace it with. So this is like the donut area. Now you can, with the donut area, you can move that around and get something to make it to suit your needs. Let go again, and there you go. Press H again to hide it. And there you go. So that was used in the most basic of tools, the clone tool, and it did a pretty good job to my mind. So I'm just going to press the letter H again to bring that back, and I'm now going to delete that. So we will then try it on the next tool. We'll do the same thing. Keep it nice and simple. So two ways of getting rid of an edit like this. I can right click and select delete, or if I prefer, if I hold down the Alt key, you'll see that you get a pair of scissors so you know what you're doing, and left click, I can delete it that way. So that's one way of removing it. You can also click on reset. However, be mindful when you're using the reset within the toolbox that if you click on that, that will remove every heel edit that you've made. So quite often, if you're using the heel tools, you're making little changes all over the place. And if you get one that you stuff up and you want to remove, don't reset that unless you want to lose all the other edits as well. Easier way would be to hold down the Alt key and just remove that one edit. Likewise, if you press the reset down here, that will remove all the changes that you've made to this image thus far. So for instance, I've already cropped this image before I started this video, and I've adjusted the white balance and exposure slightly, so I would lose that if I press that reset. Pressing the reset box here will remove all individually, as I've just said. Just hold down the Alt and get rid of the ones you want. So going back to where we were, so we've used the clone tool, which is the most basic, and it has done a pretty good job to my mind. Let's do the same thing again now, but we'll use the heal tool, which works in the same way as the clone tool, but we'll actually try even a bit harder to match the to give you a seamless join. So let's just do the same thing again. Let's go across down. Let go, and we can see here it didn't get it quite right first time, but all it's done is that the donut area, it moved it to the wrong location, so I just need to pull it to somewhere where I want it to be and find something that suits. So let's just move that around. Now we've also got, so I've chosen that, there's a bit of a dark area there, but if I come across and have a look at the feather and see whether or not we can lose that with feathering. Let's have a look. So not great to my mind, certainly not as good as what the original clone tool did. So what I would be tempted to do is press the letter H. I'm going to get rid of this and try again, just see if I get a better attempt next time. So I'm going to hold down the Alt and I'm going to get rid of that. We're staying on the healing tool. I'm just going to give this another go. Bring down the I don't know why it's so much darker. And let's try the feather. Does that make it worse or better? Now let's just try the opacity a little bit. See, bring back the opacity will bring back the original image, so that's not really helped much. Well, out of the two so far, the basic clone tool has done the better job to my mind, but it's always worth trying each of them and see what you get. So let's get rid of this. Hold down my Alt key and click, and we're back to where we were. Or, as I said before, you could click on reset to remove all changes just to the healing tool in this box. Right, so let's see what the last option, which is content aware, see what that does. So just going to do the same thing again. And on this one, we won't get, we won't see the two shapes. It's just going to do its thing, and that is the results of the first attempt. Now, what we have with this option, and you can use this on, you get the refresh button on the other options as well, but you can refresh it and let it try again. So we're saying, didn't like that, have another go. And still not quite right. So we'll give it another go. Okay, so it's still not there. But down here, you see here we've got a note which says Control plus drag on the photo to select a custom source. So what it's doing is giving us the option to help it decide what the replacement source should be. So if I hold down the Control button and draw a little square for it to think about, let's do that. And that's just made it even worse. So we'll go and refresh. No, so I'm going to hold down the Control, give it a big chunk. Think about. And that's really quite pitiful. So that hasn't really worked. And out of the three, I'd have to quite easily say that the basic clone tool done the best job for us. So I'm going to reset that. I'm just going to do that from scratch one more time with that tool, just out of curiosity now, because I expected it to do a better job than that, to be honest. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Bit better, but still not quite there. So let's do refresh. No. Not at all. So, okay, so that's a bit disappointing. I could, if I was being lazy, I could just leave that and then just repair that bit using the clone or the healing tools. So, yeah, so there you go. But that's what they do. So let's try another image now and see whether or not the this tool here can recover itself, the content aware tool. So I'm going to go back to the library. So shortcut for the library, letter G brings us back to library. Let's take a quick look at this image. So I'm going to press the letter Q, which is going to take us back into develop and back to the healing tool. So here we've got a picture of a fountain in Nice. And I remember taking this one, so I was sober, so that's quite nice. So we've got this fountain. If we want to play around with this content aware tool, we've got a couple of things that we might try to remove. One, which would be quite hard for the two other cloning tools, might be this structure here, because you've got clouds in the background and bits in sky as well. That would be quite hard to fix as a clone. So let's see if the content aware tool can do any better. So I need to decrease the size of the maybe remember there, is that too small? Okay, so what I'm going to do, so we're on content aware, I'm just going to pull this down a little bit and just see what this does, just try and demo. And I'm just going to bring it in so we get a bit of sky as well. Let's see how that does. Now that is much better. So if I press the H just to hide the edit, that has done quite a good job getting rid of that and not affecting the sky and clouds. I'm quite pleased with that. Let's just do a little bit more. So yeah, so that's getting there. It's not destroying the clouds or the sky behind it. So that's a useful way of using the content aware. Let's come down here, just carry on using the same tool because we've seen how well the other two tools can do, but in a different way. Let's just let that look at that. Yeah, done a fine job on that. Let's, whatever this thing here is, let's make it a bit more difficult. Let's see what you can do there. There you go. So a little bit of a something going on there. Let's see, give it another go. Yeah, so we're getting there. So content aware, very useful tool as well. Perhaps sometimes in different circumstances. But I was very impressed, to be honest, with these couple of examples. Just what the very basic, and that's the clone tool is the most basic. So, okay, so we've looked at the three tools. There is one more tool that is available to us in the healing control box, or not in the control box, but down here we've got this tool here that's called Visualize Spots. Now this is only available when you are in the healing tool. So what I'll do now is I'll select another picture so I can demonstrate to you what this does. So I'm going to go back to the library by pressing the letter G. I'm going to find the image that I want, which is this one down here. I'm going to select that, and then we're going to go back to the heal tool directly by pressing the letter Q. There we are. So we're in develop and we're in the healing tool. So quite often you may find you've got an image and you see spots appearing on it. Now, anybody's been doing photography for a long time will know that's most often because there are dirt mark spots on the sensor on your camera. They're not always easy to spot, and certainly if you've got something like a landscape, you've got grass and stuff, you won't see them. But when you've got either images where you've got lots of sky, or a plain background, a portrait image where you've got a plain background, they stand out more, and you would want, or you would likely want to get rid of them. Now this tool, when we're in the healing tool, has this extra little widget that we can use to help us identify those spots, and then we can just use the healing tools as normal to get rid of them. In fact, the heal tool here would be a good one for that. So what we do here, so we come down to the visualize spots, click in there, and this is what happens to your image. Now we have a little slider here, so at the moment we can't see. If I switch it off for a second, I'm not quite sure whether or not you can see on the image. I'm looking really quite close, but I can see here there is a spot, here there is a spot, there's a larger spot here, and there's a spot over here. I think the sensor on this camera was really quite mangy. This is a very old picture, but at least it's going to help demonstrate what I was trying to show you. So click back in there, and what I can do, we've got this slider here. Now if I start turning that up, see how the spots are now starting to appear, and how useful is that? So then you can now use your healing tool, or whichever method you want to use, and start getting rid of those spots. Most of which I hadn't even noticed were there. That's probably part of the picture. Increase the sound. Okay, and now if so we got rid of spots. Is that a spot or is that part of the image? That's a spot. So let's Make that a bit smaller again. Could do this all day long. Can I get it? Get addicted to doing stuff. It's, that didn't really work for that one up there. Let's okay. So yeah, but you get the idea. So a very useful way of getting spots, particularly if you're printing out images. You may not notice it on the screen, but then you print it off and then you see spots all over your image. And that's visualize spots. So let's just go back. And now we can't see any of that. I can't see those spots at all now. You may not have been able to see them on the thing, but you certainly did see them when we went into visualize spots. Now it's probably worth a mention that, so those edits that we made there to this image to remove those spots, if you've got those spots on one picture, you've likely got them on lots of pictures that were taken at the same time. So it is possible within Lightroom Classic that you could copy the edits that you just made with the healing tool there and copy those edits across onto other pictures. So, but just bear in mind when you do that, that the other pictures that you've taken, because they are not exactly the same picture, that the edits that you copy may actually damage part of the image. It depends on the photos that you've taken, but in some circumstances you could copy the spot removal from one image onto another image, and I'll run through the process how you do that. It's not something I ever needed to do, but there is a process there to do it, and I'll quickly go through it. So to do that, we need to be, I believe, in the library. So back to the letter G. We make sure that we've got the image that we have just edited selected, which we do, and then we come up to, on the top line, photo, and then we'll come down to develop settings and click on copy settings. Now the box opens up, lots of little check boxes. What you'd want to do is select check none, get everything off, and then you just then want to check the healing tool and then press copy, and then that will then copy the settings of the healing tool that was on that image, and then you can then place them onto another image. So for instance, if I took this image at roughly the same time, it's probably got the same spots, I could apply those little edits to it. So I would highlight that image, I would come back up to photo, I would come back down to develop settings, and I would come to paste, and I would left click on paste. I'm not going to do that because I don't want them on that image. It won't, when I click paste here, that box doesn't come up with all the check boxes or anything. It just will literally paste those settings onto that image. But that's how you would do that if you ever had the need. And I think, to be honest, that's about it. So we've looked at the heal tool. We've learned that the shortcut to get there is Q. There are 3 tools available to you, and in many cases it's worth trying all 3 to see which gives you, the best service. Two of them are very, very similar. You get options to adjust the size, feather, and opacity. With the content aware, you only get the size and opacity. And I think that's pretty much as I know about the healing tool. I hope this has been useful to you, particularly if you're new to Lightroom Classic. And so I'll just say thank you for your time, and have a good day. Thank you and goodbye.